play this game, Ilhan. You come from Somalia, and you're saying that Americans are stupid. You know what the average IQ in Somalia is? Take a guess.
140. It's got to be.
It's 68.
Dang.
The average IQ is 68. And now that estimate comes from a study that was done in the early 2000s, I think. And other studies have tried to debunk it. I don't think any of them have successfully, because it's the kind of thing that, if anyone tries to study this and measure it, you're going to have the mass of mainstream science descending and saying, no, we can't. That's not allowed. That has to be not true.
You cannot point out another culture's flaws if you're an American. Note to self.
It literally has to be. We can't allow that to be true. When you hear that Somalia, the average IQ is 68, it tracks. It tracks with what we know about Somalia. That, there's this country called Somalia and the average IQ is 68. You would make a lot of assumptions about what the country must be like. And in Somalia's case, all of those assumptions would turn out to be true.
Finish the following. There's two words I'm about to give you. I'm going to give you the first one. You give me the second one. Ready? Somali blank. Think of a mascot for a country. What would it be? Pirates. There you go.
One of the most dangerous and violent countries in the world. So one of the poorest countries in the world. The per capita GDP in Somalia is like $600.
Wow.
In the U.S., it's $75,000, just as a comparison.
Wow.
It's not a functioning society. It barely even has paved roads. It is a failed state. And by the way, speaking of the 68 IQ, one of the reasons, undoubtedly, one of the reasons for that IQ is...
Anybody watching this want to take a guess? What's he about to say? How could your IQ be that low? You got a guess? All right.
Is the inbreeding in the country. There's a lot of inbreeding in Somalia, which
basically their entire country, or 60% of it, is basically like Deliverance, the movie with Burt Reynolds. All the Appalachian inbreds. Welcome to the Random Sound Mind podcast. I'm your host, JT. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode. The intro clip you saw was Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire. Pretty famous for the documentary, as well as the question that went around the world in 2023. What is a woman? And I wanted to play that short clip to set you up for our topic today, which is this whole Somali and Minnesota business. And play some other clips, but also kind of process some very key information for we American citizens that our government, state or federal, should be for us. And as we found out, they're not. So if you take a look at this screenshot from Gateway Pundit, great news source if you want alternative news, but also accurate. And you see the headlines. Somalia's average IQ score meets the U.S. standard for intellectual disability. There's another name for intellectual disability. It starts with a re. But look at the number on this screenshot. It was 1 billion, we thought. Remember when this first started catching traction? Now we know it's 8, maybe even $9 billion that has been stolen from taxpayers, given to Somalis, who then turn around and give a lot of it back to their home country, which turns around and feeds the warlords and feeds the Al-Shabaab Islamic terrorist group. So when you think about this waste of money, again, your tax dollars, think about the people in East Palestine, Ohio. Remember the train wreck and the water supply damage and people contracting deadly diseases and dying? Think about all the American tragedies we have of citizens, not foreigners, who grift the system. That should make you very angry. That money we waste could go to someone else who's in real tragedy, not scam artists. While these estimates come from international intelligence and psychometric surveys rather than U.S. agencies, they illustrate the same underlying point reflected in all recognized human capital measures. Somalia faces extraordinary developmental challenges. Really? By the way, when you see human capital, it basically means what you can bring to the table. What skills, brains, brawn, creativity, innovation, what do you bring to the table? That's the economics term. Then it goes on. When a country's literacy rates, schooling years, and cognitive skill indicators all rank near the lowest. Think about that. It is realistic to assume its refugee populations will seamlessly integrate into high skill, high productivity economies without substantial cost and long adjustment periods. How do you overcome those long adjustment periods and all the other stuff? Well, you scam the system. That's how. Again, plenty of sources on this. Here's another reporter on her Twitter page, or X. The rival clans are now being found in Minnesota. About 49% of marriages in Somalia involve first or second cousins, meaning, obviously, family members are having children with each other. That's inbreeding, incest. We make jokes about it here in America. We have forever, so let the jokes ensue about Somalia. Clan militias dominate the country. They engage in extortion, land grabs, and inter-clan fighting. They disrupt and control key trade routes. Bringing those values to America. In Minnesota, Ohio, it's only going to show more and more the more investigative journalists do their job. And let me say this, when you have a low IQ, what's the one thing that can give you a leg up in any society, especially in a brutal one like Somalia? It's a violent might. It's brawn. If you don't have brains and you can use brawn, then you can dominate. Okay, these next few clips are from Louder with Crowder's show, Steven Crowder and his crew. They are in the same city I'm in here in Texas. He did the best breakdown of the Somali culture, the people, some other facts that I've just already gone through, but more extensive than anyone else that I could find. So shout out to him. Go check out his podcast. It's terrific.
People will say racist, people will say ethnocentric. I don't care. Somalia is an awful, terrible place by any objective measure that you can use.
According to Somalians.
Yes. Here in the United States, we want no part of Somalia. We want no part of the United States to ever even come close to resembling Somalia. And that's why Somalis are coming here. You can comment below. Is that fair?
It is totally fair, and this is why Ilhan Omar needs to go. She keeps praising. She keeps her home country of Somalia. She keeps doing that. You've seen all these elections of Somali mayors in Minnesota. And you start to learn, just like almost everything in life, follow the money.
Is that offensive in any way? Keep in mind, Ilhan Omar banged her brother, okay? This is something, every time we release this, it'll get like 5 million clicks on Twitter, on X, because people think it's new. It's not new. We've been on this for half a...
There's your incest, folks. You got a representative in the United States Congress. Banged her brother.
To say that Somalis were actually a very important part of the fabric of this nation.
No, they're not.
Somalis are not terrorizing this nation. We are helping.
If you don't know, that's Representative Ilhan Omar, whose district is right there in the 20 cities in Minnesota.
Somalis have always seen themselves as a fabric of this nation. We have signed up to serve this country in its military. We have signed up to teach children. We have signed up to become nurses and doctors and engineers. We have signed up to be public servants and get elected into office. We don't do that because we hate this nation. We do that because we love this nation.
No, you don't.
All lies. You know, when I think of Somali, I don't think of doctors, engineers, school teachers. No, it's all lies. And, you know, I'm going to start doing some episodes on Islam. There is a prescription in Islam that you can lie to the infidels, which is anybody who's not Muslim. It doesn't matter that she's lying. She doesn't operate by our Western moral set of values, okay?
We are not going to allow anybody to make us feel less Minnesotan or less American.
I say you're less Minnesotan and less American. And so do most Minnesotans and Americans. How about that? Oh, they're doctors, engineers. Yeah, these Somali immigrants, they love the United States so much that a third of them don't speak any English at all. And there are so many doctors and engineers coming from the land of pirates that a third of Somalis live in complete abject poverty. By the way, that's 3 times the national average. You notice they always do this? They always say, hey, you need them. We don't. As a matter of fact, the United States, we don't actually need anybody. What we need is to start actually having more children, people who are here in this country. And
He's exactly right. We don't need. We need to make America great for its citizens, whether you're naturalized or you were born here.
the only thing that people like Ilhan Omar and her ilk think America doesn't need is Americans. Ever notice that? Here's another fast fact for you that's kind of fun. Millions of dollars were stolen from Minnesota taxpayers, and it was funneled to Somalia to fund the Al-Shabaab terror group.
This idea that we need them. No, they need you to scam you, as they did in Minnesota, so they can send it back to this terrorist group, Al-Shabaab. If your blood is not boiling, then I don't know what to tell you.
Funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer. Also, let's add up, hey, you need them. You know who needs these Somalis to be in the United States? People in Somalia.
True.
Because in 2023,
Facts.
remittances to Somalia alone totaled $1.7 billion, which is more than the entire Somali government budget.
Did you hear that? 1.7 billion, more than the entire Somali budget. Think about it. If they took 9, or let's just say 8, let's round up to 2. That's 4 years of their budget covered by scamming and fraud in a state run by Tampon Tim Walz.
40% in that same article, 40% of households in Somalia get remittances from the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
40%.
Massive. By the way, you sure you want to talk about that evil empire? We allow people to come to this country who commit crimes, who contribute very little, and we allow them to send money back to a nation that is greater than their annual budget. If we were an empire, guess what? We'd own Somalia.
Yep, there you go. So when everybody pushes on Western imperialism or American imperialism, remind them of that right there. 100 years ago, they would be our serf kingdom. They would do exactly what we said because we're sending you all this money. No, now it's just, hey, just give it out of what? Charity?
These Somalis are acting the same way that they do in Somalia. What's our greatest indicator of behavior here in the United States? You can apply the same thing to India. You can apply the same thing to people coming from Honduras, for example. But with Somalia, it's obviously really, really bad. You go, how do they behave in Somalia? What are the results that we see in Somalia? Well, let me give you a few reasons as to why it's an absolute hellhole.
And that's just common sense. If a country is war-torn, if they have a low IQ, if there's high inbreeding, if there's piracy is their main thing they're known for, extortion, tribal warfare, you don't need studies. You start importing those people, they're going to bring what they know. They're going to bring the value system that has been in their culture for decades, not the Western Christian value system that we have here. And yet, so many people, Americans, want to bring them in because it makes us feel good and it might get us votes. It's disgusting and abhorrent to me.
The average IQ, in the States we do pretty well. We're not as high as some nations like Japan, right? But it's about 97.4, right there in the center of the bell curve. Somalia, the average IQ is 67.
Ooh.
70 is retarded.
Sorry, retarded.
70 or less
Family Guy.
is legally retarded.
Oh, boy.
This is the basic question we need to ask ourselves. Not what should we tolerate? What's empathetic? Hey, what do we have in common? These are not the questions that you ask when you import people.
Again, I covered this in an earlier episode. There is a difference between masculine and feminine. We do not ask questions that are run off compassion and feelings. Countries don't work that way. Households can, personal relationships can, but not a country. It's laws and logic.
From anywhere, but certainly the third world. It's how do these people make America better? And what do we want America to be?
Those are 2 great questions. Probably the only 2. Are they making America great? And are they going to continue our way of life? There is I've covered this before on the Is America Slowly Committing Suicide episode. A couple of prior ones. If you want to check episode 10 out.
How do they make America better? Well, the answer is they don't.
Nope,
Okay?
they don't.
What do they provide that Americans here don't already provide? The answer is nothing.
Nothing.
And what do we want the United States to be? Well, we can answer pretty definitively. We don't want it to be Somalia. These people do. They should go keep Somalia.
That's right.
And notice that race enters into the equation here, not a
Why is that so bad to say? You get slapped on the wrist for saying, you know what, if you don't like it here and you want America to be like your country you came from, go back. Oh, yeah, it's racist. You're white imperialist or you're whatever, American exceptionalism. We don't take to that. Sorry. I would expect a country to say the same thing to me if I moved there and said, I want this country. This country sucks. I want it to be like America. I guarantee you they'd be, well, go back.
has to do with your loyalty and what we want this country to be. I want it to look nothing like St. Paul. I want it to look nothing like Haiti or Somalia. We're done. Everyone's done playing this whole game. Oh, that's racist. No,
Exactly.
no. I want a neighborhood where I don't feel like a stranger.
Yeah.
How about that?
I'm just done with it. That I can't speak my mind and say it. If you got different facts than me, come at me. If you got better logic than me, then come at me. Help me, persuade me to your view.
Well, and I'm also done with people saying that they love this country, they serve this country, they fight for this country, and then say they hate everything about this country. Like that is, you
Exactly.
cannot be Ilhan Omar
Exactly.
in speeches and Ilhan Omar in that clip. You have to pick a lane.
Right.
Because if you say you love it, then make it a little bit better. Don't tear everything down to put your system in. That you don't love it then. You hate it.
That's right.
Destroy it.
They don't love it as intended, Gerald.
No.
That's the
Hope you enjoyed looking at some of these clips and statistics. If you're not familiar with some of these things about the Somali immigrant population in Minnesota, which we are finding other situations in other states like Ohio, it's only going to grow. You're only going to see the fraud increase. But besides the getting ripped off, which is bad enough, should make your blood boil, I wanted to give some concluding thoughts and some deeper thoughts, which means basically that what are they going to do to the fabric of American society, American culture? What are the people that we're bringing in? Are they making America better? And will they integrate into our way of life that we've had for well over 200 years? Shouldn't be wrong to ask those questions. And as American citizens, I think we need to ask and demand that people who come here to arguably the greatest country on earth, where you can go from very poor to very rich overnight, the right way. Ilhan Omar went from very poor to very rich, scamming, as we know, her net worth jumped through the roof to several million, like 30 million. She had 65K to her name. She got that in what, 4 years? Yeah, that's kickbacks. But you can legally go from rags to riches. You can create a better life for yourself here. So we should have a meritocracy, not charity, meritocracy, run on logic and laws, not feelings, not compassion. And America, in my opinion, is the melting pot and has been. We welcome people who love America, who want to contribute, and who do contribute, in fact. I hope all these things gave you some food for thought and thinking about the American immigration, not just this one problem. Until next time, stay alert, stand firm, show courage, and be sound.